5 horror movies that should never have been made. They came, they shocked, they shattered lives, both on and off screen. These aren't just failed films. They're cursed productions that left trails of real-world horror in their wake. Some horror films don't just depict nightmares, they create them. Behind the camera, away from audience eyes, these productions spiraled into catastrophes that claimed lives, destroyed careers, and haunted survivors for decades. What you're about to see isn't myth or marketing. It's the documented darkness that followed 5 films that perhaps should have remained unmade. By the end of this journey, you'll understand why some stories come with prices too steep to pay. 1. The Crow, 1994. What if the film that made you immortal was the same one that took your life? That was the cruel fate awaiting rising star Brandon Lee on the set of The Crow. The production of this gothic revenge tale was plagued from the beginning. Accidents mounted. A carpenter suffered severe burns from touching a high-voltage power line. A storm destroyed expensive sets, and a frustrated crew member drove his car through the plywood studio. But these were merely omens of the catastrophe to come. On March 31, 1993, during filming of a scene where Brandon Lee's character was to be shot, an improperly cleared prop gun fired a dummy round that had been lodged in the barrel, a fragment with enough force to pierce Lee's abdomen. The son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee died hours later after losing too much blood during surgery. He was just 28 years old. The film was completed using stunt doubles and primitive digital effects to replace Lee in remaining scenes, creating the macabre scenario where audiences watched a dead man walk and talk on screen. The terrible irony. The Crow centers on a musician who returns from the dead to avenge his own murder. The film went on to become a cult classic, but its success is forever stained by the blood of its star. 2. Twilight Zone the movie, 1983. How far would a director go for authentic terror on film? For John Landis, the answer cost 3 lives, including 2 children. On July 23, 1982, during a Vietnam War sequence directed by Landis, actor Vix, Morrow and child actors Micah Dinley, 7, and Renee Shin Yi Chen, 6, were filming a scene involving a helicopter. Despite warnings about safety conditions, explosions were detonated too close to the low-flying aircraft. The helicopter lost control, crashing directly onto the actors. The rotating blades decapitated Morrow and Lei instantly, while Chen was crushed under the helicopter's weight. What makes this tragedy even more disturbing is that the children were hired illegally, working after hours without permits, paid under the table to circumvent child labor laws. Court testimony revealed chilling details of Landis reportedly saying he wanted real terror on the children's faces for the shot. Though Landis and 4 others faced 10-year manslaughter charges, they were ultimately acquitted, a verdict that shocked Hollywood. The case, however, forever changed safety protocols in filmmaking and left an indelible stain on director Landis's career. The segment remains in the final film, though the fatal scene was replaced, meaning audiences watched the last moments of 3 people's lives before their violent deaths. Disc 3. Roar, 1981. What if the most dangerous movie ever made starred not actors, but 150 untrained lions, tigers, cheetahs, and jaguars? Producer-director Noel Marshall and actress Tippi Hedren created exactly that nightmare. No animals were harmed. During filming, couldn't be said about humans on this set. Over its 11-year production, more than 70 cast and crew members suffered serious injuries. Cinematographer John DeBont, later director of Speed, required 220 stitches after being scalped by a lion. Hedren fractured her leg when an elephant threw her from its back, and her daughter, a young Melanie Griffith, needed facial reconstruction surgery after being mauled by a lion. Marshall himself was hospitalized so many times with various animal attacks that he eventually contracted gangrene from his wounds. The film bankrupted the family, cost $17 million, equivalent to about $55 million today, and earned back just $2 million. Hedren and Marshall's marriage collapsed under the strain, and their animal sanctuary was later destroyed by a wildfire. The Bing. footage itself shows genuine terror. That's no acting when you see humans running from predators. Most disturbing is that repeated animal attacks were kept in the final film. Watching Roar means witnessing real people being genuinely mauled for entertainment. Decades later, Hedren admitted the project was stupid beyond belief. 4. Cannibal Holocaust, 1980. How does a director convince audiences his fictional film is a documentary? By committing real animal cruelty and making his actors disappear. Italian director Ruggero Deodato's found-footage horror film was so convincing in its depiction of the slaughter of a documentary crew that shortly after its premiere, he was arrested on suspicion of actually murdering his actors. Prosecutors believed they were watching genuine snuff footage. To prove his innocence, Deodato had to produce his very much alive actors in court and explain how he achieved the film's realistic impalement scene. While the human deaths were fake, the animal killings were horrifyingly real. The film includes graphic scenes of a coatimundi being killed with a knife, a large turtle being decapitated and dismembered, a tarantula being macheted, a snake being sliced open, and a monkey having its face cut off. All were killed specifically for the camera. The film was banned in over 50 countries, with some bans remaining in effect decades later. Several crew members later expressed profound regret for their participation. Cinematographer Sergio Dofizzi stated, "I finished filming with tears in my eyes," while even Deodato admitted 30 years later, "I was stupid to introduce animals." The film continues to generate ethical debate about documentary responsibility and exploitation. But perhaps most disturbing is that despite or because of its notoriety, Cannibal Holocaust has developed a cult following, with new audiences continually seeking out this document of genuine cruelty. 5. Poltergeist, 1982. What if the curse your film depicts follows its cast into reality? Such is the legacy of Poltergeist and its sequels, which saw the premature deaths of 4 cast members. The most heartbreaking was Heather O'Rourke, the child actress who played Carol Ann. After portraying the character in all 3 films, she died suddenly at age 12 from complications of an undiagnosed congenital intestinal condition. Dominique Dunne, who played the older sister Dana in the original film, was strangled by her ex-boyfriend just months after the film's release. She was 22. Julian Beck, who played the terrifying preacher Cain in Poltergeist 2, died of stomach cancer before the film was released, while Will Sampson, who played the shaman Taylor in the same sequel, died of post-operative kidney failure at 53. Adding to the film's macabre legacy were rumors that real human skeletons were used in the swimming pool scene, a claim later confirmed by JoBeth Williams and verified by crew members. The production had purchased real skeletons from medical supply companies because they were cheaper than fake ones. While skeptics dismiss the poltergeist curse as coincidence amplified by confirmation bias, the cast deaths, particularly of young performers closely associated with the film, have cemented its reputation as a production touched by genuine tragedy. Perhaps most chilling is O'Rourke's final line in Poltergeist 3, which became her epitaph: "This house is clean." To conclude, the red we see in horror films is usually corn syrup and food coloring. In these 5 productions, it was all too often real blood. These aren't just failed artistic endeavors. They're cautionary tales of hubris, negligence, and cruel ambition that cost lives, inflicted trauma, and crossed ethical boundaries that forever taint their legacies. The true horror of these films isn't what appeared on screen, but what happened just beyond the frame. The promised darkness that, as you've now discovered, continues to haunt cinema history decades later.